Hey Mama, welcome to the Mrs. Mummy PhD podcast. I'm your host, Dr. Michelle Gibbs, wife, mama of 3, and doctor of the PhD kind. On this podcast, we talk honestly about high achievement, burnout, and what it looks like to lead well across home, work, and self. So if you're an ambitious mother scholar who's quietly exhausted by the pace you've been keeping and starting to realize that survival isn't the same as success, this podcast is for you. Mrs. Mummy PhD began during my own PhD journey as a wife and mama. Today, as a postdoctoral scholarly mama working across 2 leadership roles, this work has evolved. It's no longer just about finishing the PhD well, it's about creating sustainable ways of learning, leading, and living at any stage of your journey without losing yourself in the process. If you are ready to move from survival to restoration, you're in the right place. Let's begin. These are our journeys of becoming. Hey Mama, welcome back to the Mrs. Mummy PhD podcast. Thank you as always for being here. And if you've not subscribed, make sure you do so you don't miss a single episode. So, a couple of days ago, we were at our son's sports day at school. And if you are in the UK, you know this is the season for sports day, and 2 of them attend the same school and they had their sports day. And at that sports day, my husband and I were cheering them on, watching the proceedings and just really enjoying the day and being present in the moment of being there. But afterwards, we had a chat about it and we were talking about just our reflections about the day. My husband ran the dad's race and came second, I think. I didn't do the mum's race because I was way too worried about twisting my ankle or something. But anyway, I digress. So we were thinking about just some of the things that came up for us as we, were enjoying sports day. The children were running their races and I noticed that as some of them were running their races, that some of them were just looking left and right and to see where everybody else was in comparison to them. They were checking to see if they were winning. They were checking to see if they were behind everyone else, constantly comparing their position to the position of the other runners. And in my opinion, they were slower because of it. So I watched our own sons run their races. But then I was reflecting on how they ran their races. They ran their races with focus. They stayed in their lane. They actually didn't look left or right, not even at us. And they just ran their race and they won their individual races. And so it made me think about what this means for scholarly motherhood. And I'm hoping that in this episode, you will be able to reflect on why comparison without context is keeping you stuck. You will be able to reflect on how you can run your own race instead of somebody else's race. And I want you to be able to give yourself permission to succeed in a way that works for you, that works for your specific circumstances, and also focusing on the skill rather than the circumstance, but the skill that you can develop that will help to make a lot of the difference, which is the skill of self-trust and also the skill of self-leadership. This is really crucial because maybe you're a scholarly mama who's constantly looking at, what other people are achieving, the accolades, the titles, the promotions, the achievements, the recognition. Maybe you're looking at what other people are achieving and wondering, well, when is it going to be my turn? Maybe you're comparing their timeline with your own timeline and thinking, why am I feeling so behind? Why are they able to finish quickly? Let's say, for example, if you're doing your PhD, you may be looking and seeing other people finish theirs. I know I had that experience, right? You may be thinking, well, all these good strategies that you talk about, Michelle, but will they work for me? Can they be applied to my circumstances and my situation? Or maybe you may be looking at my situation and thinking, well, she's married, she's got partner support, and quietly wondering, can what she's saying work for me as well? So anybody who's had that quiet doubt of, is this for me? I'm thinking about some of my Scully mamas who are single parents who are looking for spaces that understand those specific circumstances and wondering whether she belongs here as a scholarly mama. And anybody else, for that matter, who's had that quiet doubt, thinking in her situation is different from mine, will this actually work for me? And I think this is really important to discuss and address because I get it. I understand. It's really hard actually to find spaces, that you feel that you belong. I felt that way, which is one of the reasons why I started Mrs. Mummy PhD and started Scholarly Mamas, because I felt isolated. I felt like I didn't belong in the spaces that I was in. And this is important because sometimes that quiet doubt begins to creep in. So I want to address this really early on and say that, yes, this is for you. This space is for you. Not because my specific circumstances exactly match yours, because everybody's circumstances are different, but because what I'm sharing with you is bigger than circumstances, right? It's way bigger than that. And I'm going to get into that in this episode. And I know that this is important because of my own journey of learning to lead myself well, my own journey of realizing that self-leadership is a skill that can be developed and it can work across different circumstances. And also from watching the shift that when women stop comparing their circumstances to mine or others, they can begin to trust themselves, that the decisions that they're making for themselves are the best decisions in that particular season of their life. So this isn't about copying strategies and copying people's, tactics. This is about learning how to lead yourself well so that you can run your own race. And so before I get into it, I think it's worth just understanding why we find ourselves in this comparison trap. I've talked about the comparison trap for a while now, actually, on this podcast. And I think it's one of the biggest challenges for scholarly mamas because we see other people succeeding and we want that success for ourselves. But then we look at our own situation and we think, well, how can I achieve that when I've got, children at home? I can't just go home late. I can't just go home and just get on with the things I want to get on with. I've got a family that I need to look after and contribute to. And we think that when we look at other people, we compare, if we could just understand the strategy, we can replicate their results. We can get what they've got. Because we're looking for the secret formula. We're looking for the hacks. We're looking for the tactics. We're looking for the productivity apps. We're looking for the secret shortcuts and the secret strategies that they've used. But when we do this, we also do something else. We notice that their circumstances are different from ours. And we think, that's not going to work for me. Her situation isn't mine. It's never going to work. I'm not going to be able to do this. I can't do this. And quietly, we wonder if this is even possible for somebody in our situation. And this is the trap, I think, of comparison. This is actually the bedrock of this comparison trap. We see the achievement, but we don't see the context. We don't see the circumstances. We don't see what's beneath the surface. We don't see the privilege. We don't see the support. We don't see the season of life. We don't see the financial, access. We don't see what's actually making their race possible. And we use that as a reason to dismiss what might actually help us in these circumstances. And I think in academic circles, it's particularly prevalent because we compare our achievements with other people's. We compare our accolades with other people's. We compare timelines, particularly as Scully mamas. We compare timelines. We feel that we're behind. We feel like we need to catch up. We feel like we are not enough, that we don't deserve to be there. We feel like we are so slow. I always joke about this now, and I say I am the queen of the unhurried life. I'm sure you've heard me say this. But at the time, in the moment when I was on my PhD journey and seeing everybody else finish and just, feeling like, when is it going to be my turn? Because we compare career trajectories with other people as if we are all running the same race. We don't acknowledge that everybody's circumstances are different, and we don't account for different seasons of life. As somebody in their 40s, I can tell you, life looks very different for me now than it did in my 20s. Life looks very different for me now than it did in my 30s. And so I cannot compare my situation and my circumstances with somebody who is living in a different season of their life. And because we don't account for all of these contextual influences, we think that if her strategies worked because she had X support and Y opportunity and X thing, and I don't have that, then her strategies will not work for me. And then the quiet doubts. Maybe I don't belong in spaces that are made for scholarly mamas like her. Maybe her life is too different from mine for this to apply to me. And if she's got support that I don't have, her solutions, her answers, her ideas will not work for me. And the result is that you feel like you're failing, you feel like you're not enough, you feel like you don't belong, and you don't see what can actually help or what might actually help you, because it all looks very different from your own circumstances when you do that comparison. And so here's the thing, like for me, I think it's not about copy pasting somebody else's journey onto yours. The strategy may need a little bit of tweaking, right? But the skill that made her successful, the skill that made that other person that you are thinking of successful, is what can be transferred. So for me, this is about self-leadership. I believe it works across circumstances. It's not about copying, and pasting. It's about developing the skill to be able to run your own race. And so you get to a place where you can appreciate that actually, maybe I do belong here. And maybe this does apply to me, even if my circumstances look different. Because your markers of success don't have to look like someone else's. Your timeline doesn't have to match someone else's. Your strategy doesn't have to copy someone else's. Your race is uniquely yours because your circumstances are uniquely yours. And so the skill that really matters in all of this, like I said, is that self-trust, that self-leadership, the ability to navigate your own race, your own individual race with brilliance. And this whole idea of the comparison trap is very different from inspiration, because inspiration is showing you what's possible, and you can look at that and you can say, yep, that's what's possible. I'm going to learn from that. I'm going to, immerse myself in learning the skill. But I think this idea of the comparison trap becomes destructive when we think, oh, I should have done this by now. I should be able to do it that way. I should be able to do that. Why can I not do that? Maybe this isn't for me. Maybe I'm not cut out for this. And so it's not about why can I not do what they did. It's about what does my race look like and how can I run that the best way I can? And this is all about staying in your lane, right? And when I talk about the sports day, like staying in your lane, not getting caught up in other people's timelines, not comparing your motherhood journey to someone else's as if there's only one right way. There's only one path. No, This isn't about measuring your success by somebody else's standards. It's trusting that your path, your pace is valid, it works for you, and it's yours. So when you stop comparing and start trusting yourself, you can win your race. You're not going to win somebody else's race, but you can win your race. So going back to sports day, like I said, there are races, the kids are running. Some of them are constantly looking left and right, checking if they're winning, checking if, like I said, are they behind? Are they in front? Are they winning? Are they losing? And when our sons ran, like I said, they didn't look left and right. They stayed in their lane. They ran with confidence and focus. They didn't look around. They didn't get distracted. They won with ease, actually. And I think what allowed them to win was their own confidence in their ability, their sense of self-belief and self-trust that they can do it. Yes, they'd previously won races, and so they were able to tap into prior experience of doing this. We encouraged them, but, didn't push them too hard. It was all led by them. They were operating at their own pace. We were cheering them on and all of that. But again, it was down to them to run their own races without the unrealistic expectations. Just running, just enjoying the journey, just enjoying the moment of it. And what we both said to them, my husband and I, was at the end of the day, we just want you guys to go out there and have fun. Enjoy the experience. Just have fun. It isn't about if you've won, if you came second, none of this matters. Run your race, finish your race, and enjoy your race. And then there were solo races. And this at first I found really strange because there were kids that were allowed to run on their own. And it was the first time I encountered that and seen that. There were no competitors, just each child running their own race. And then I was like, you know what? I actually really love this. Because there's nobody to compare against. There's no winning. There's no losing. There's just running your race. And those kids were not distracted by whether they were winning, whether they were losing, whether they were ahead, whether they were behind, because they were just running. They were just running their own race. And I feel like this is what scholarly motherhood needs. To give yourself the permission to run your own race, not the race next to you, not somebody else's race that looks impressive or that, you think actually that's what I want. It's about your own race. And the solo races, like I mentioned, they can teach us something else too, that we can get to decide what success looks like, that we can get to decide how our story ends. There's nothing strange about that. In fact, that is so welcome in scholarly motherhood. And thinking about the things that I talk about on this podcast, you might be wondering whether this applies to you because your circumstances are different from mine, and maybe wondering whether this will work for you, whether these strategies can work for you. And I want to say to that, yes, they can. And it's not because my circumstances and your circumstances are the same, because they're very likely not. This podcast reaches people all over the world. How on earth can there be only one way? Everybody's circumstances are different. Everybody's context is different. Everybody's lives are different. And so this isn't about sharing things that will only work if you have my exact life. I think what I'm trying to communicate here is it's about the skill. It's about developing the skill of self-leadership, the ability to know your own race, and the ability to run your race the best way you can. Despite your circumstances, given your circumstances, given your support system, at your own pace in a way that works for you. And so the skill isn't about copying somebody else's race. The skill is about developing your own self-trust and self-leadership to be able to stay in your lane, run at your pace, do your thing with your own circumstances. Can a single parent develop self-leadership? Absolutely, yes. Can a partnered parent develop self-leadership? Absolutely, yes. Can somebody with financial privilege do this? Yes. Can somebody navigating difficult circumstances financially do this? Yes. The application may look different. The race may look different. The pace may look different. The timeline may look different. But the skill is transferable. So how do you actually do this? I think for me, this is really about getting clear on your own race. So understanding your season of life, knowing your support system or lack thereof, right? I've talked before about the fact that we've had to pay for our childcare. We don't have any family in this country. And so we've had to spend loads of money over the years paying for childcare because we needed it in order to go to work, in order for us to get through life. We needed childcare. And so we had to pay for that. Understanding your financial capacity, understanding your family structure, understanding your values and what matters most to you, understanding your definition of success and not other people's definition of success, understanding what fills you up and what drains you. Right? These are the things that we really need to get clear on, because self-leadership is the skill that you can use to navigate your own unique race. And you can do this brilliantly. It doesn't matter if somebody else has a support system that you don't have. It doesn't matter if somebody's financial situation is different from yours. It doesn't matter if someone's season of life is different from yours. Self-leadership is the skill. And having that skill allows you to say, you know what? This is my race. This is my situation. How can I lead myself well within this? And that is transferable. That is what actually works across different circumstances. Because you cannot run somebody else's race when you're trying to run yours. It's physically impossible. And trying to do that is what is keeping you stuck and, quite frankly, exhausted. So you can develop the skill to run your own race brilliantly. You can do this regardless of your circumstances. And so this isn't about not learning from others or not being ambitious or having big goals and big dreams or thinking that you don't need support. This is really about inspiration without the comparison. This is about learning strategies and adapting them to your circumstances. This is about knowing that your success may look a bit different. Your timeline may look a bit different. You know, things may go a bit slower for you, or you may have to improvise in other ways, but trusting yourself enough to lead yourself well, to run your own race in your own lane at your own pace. So I hope you can give yourself the permission to run your own race and not someone else's. And when you do this, you win. And this isn't about winning against someone else, but you win for yourself. So this week, as you continue to navigate your own journey, ask yourself, who am I comparing myself to? Do I know the full context of their race and their situation? And what is my race? You know, what race am I running here? Am I running it at my own pace, or am I trying to match somebody else? Am I getting distracted with looking left and right and seeing how everybody else is doing and seeing how I am measuring up against them? Or am I focused? Am I determined? Am I leading myself in my own race? And, you know, I have to say, when I think about some of the children who were looking left and right, some of them still did really well. Some of them still got to the finish line and, you know, came second or first even. But imagine what would have been possible if they hadn't been looking left and right. Imagine how they would have felt if they were just winning their own race. So if you have been exhausted by the comparison trap, looking left, looking right, comparing yourself and feeling awful about your own circumstances, your own progress and your own momentum, know that you're not alone in this, firstly, but also that you can develop the skill of self-leadership and you can run your own race well too. And if you're wondering whether this is for someone like yourself or someone with your circumstances, why not? Ask yourself that question. Why not? Why not me, right? The Becoming Her reset is founded on self-leadership principles. It's designed to help you figure out your own race and to learn to run that brilliantly, regardless of whatever situation and circumstances. It's the space to develop that self-leadership skill to run at your own pace in your own lane in a way that works for you. Not your friend's way, not your colleague's way, not even your supervisor's way. Your way, your journey, your race. So until next time, Mama, I hope you continue to stay in your lane, run your own race, trust your pace. And until next time, continue to lead yourself gently. That's all I've got for today. I'll see you in the next episode. Bye for now. Thank you so much for listening. If something in today's conversation resonated with you, I want you to know this. You don't need to have it all figured out before you take your next step. This work is all about learning to lead yourself first in ways that honor your capacity, your work, your home, and yourself without burning out in the process. If you'd like to continue the conversation beyond the podcast, you're warmly invited to join Scholarly Mamas The Letter, a quiet monthly newsletter for mother scholars who value purpose beyond titles, presence at home, and peace within. You can sign up at scholarlymamas.com. And if you're feeling stuck, stretched, or just not where you want to be, you can book a free 30-minute call to help you gain clarity and explore what support might look like in this season to get from where you are to where you want to be. You can also connect with me on social media at Mrs. Mummy PhD, where I share reflections on ambition, motherhood, sustainable self-leadership, all the things, for high-achieving mamas like yourself. This, Mama, is the quiet work of scholarly motherhood, and these are our journeys of becoming.